Diego Cordovez for The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. We've had Linda Johnson on the last 2 weeks, and she's been great, telling us about all her experiences in poker and what's going on. We're going to wrap things up today with part 3. If you missed the first 2 episodes, they're on Card Player TV. Speaking of people who are getting into poker, learning about poker, we've talked to a bunch of people about women-only tournaments because even after 20 years, it seems to be a semi-controversial topic. Yeah. And my thoughts actually mirror Annie Duke's. She came on the show, and then there were like 100 forum posts kind of misinterpreting what she said and vilifying her. But what she said is that why not? It's great to have women's tournaments, and if people want to do that, or if people feel more comfortable doing that, that's a good thing. But giving a bracelet out for a women's only tournament, or or for any event that's not an open tournament, whether it's a seniors tournament or that kind of undermines the whole concept of the bracelets or the watches or whatever it is. But that otherwise, it's it's unequivocally something that's going to draw more people into the game. So that is kind of a standard view. You've been involved in a lot of these events, so what is your view?
Well, and my view has changed 180 degrees from the old days. Early on, I didn't, I wasn't really in favor of women's tournaments, but for the last
because
because I felt like poker is a game of skill. It's not about your physical strength.
Right.
Definitely in sports, you need to have a men's and a women's.
Right.
And I felt like the women could compete.
It's somewhat insulting to say, "Oh, you need to have your own," because you can't. It implies that you can't compete.
I've totally changed my mind on that because I see that the women's tournaments actually bring in a lot of new players to the game.
Right.
And the women sometimes don't want to sit with a bunch of men. When I'm playing poker in a tournament, like at the World Series, oftentimes I'm the only woman in the game. And so, when men are together, they want to talk about things that don't interest me, so much. They want to, have their sports talk. And, I sit at the table a lot of times.
That's the most interesting talk.
Yeah. But I sit at the table and, I'm not involved in the conversation. And I could see how, it doesn't bother me because I'm focusing on the poker. But a lot of women who want to play don't want to be in that type of environment where they're not part, of what's going on, and so when women's tournaments are definitely different than men's tournaments. I like both of them. I advocate both of them, and I think that the women and the seniors, they should have bracelets. Why not? I mean, it's not like they're getting a bracelet against 200 people like in a deuce to 7 event. I mean, there's thousands of women who play. There's thousands of seniors who play. It's not that it's an accomplishment.
Right. It's not that it's harder to get one in one or the other because sure, when you have a huge field, just by the numbers, it's going to be hard to get. It's just that it's not an open event. You're telling certain people, look, you just cannot even enter this event, and that's why. Sure, in the deuce to 7 or in the $40,000 event, you don't have a big field, but
it's open to everyone.
Everyone can go.
But is the 40,000 open to everyone? Come on, really, How many people have 40,000?
You just borrow it. You just like most of those guys who played. You just borrow it from someone and take your time repaying. Guarantee a victory. So, that's the way poker operates.
No, I just think that there should be a seniors champion and they should get a bracelet. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
And do you play in the women's event at the World Series? Because you've got a good edge at that.
Usually, what happens is it's on the same day as the Omaha tournament. It has been for the last few years. So I've played in the Omaha tournament. I did play when they were doing the Queen of Hearts. I actually did play in the ladies tournament 3 years, I believe, and I cashed twice. And but that was a charity. We were playing for charity, and I'm happy to do that. I would play in the ladies event if it didn't conflict with another tournament that I wanted to play in. So.
Well, there's a lot of edge in there, and you're not going to pass up a good opportunity like that. You'd be one of the favorites.
You know what? Women are playing so much better than they used to.
Of course.
When people in any tournament, there's a lot of dead money, but I wouldn't say there's any more dead money in ladies tournaments because some of them are just so amazingly good. I'm proud to say that like Ocean's 11, we go there and I help host the tournament every year. And the level of play, it used to be where I could go in and win at least one tournament out of the 4, and a lot of times, 2 of them. It's not that way anymore. I mean,
No,
these
sure.
ladies are tough, and part of it is, we've been teaching, and, we always do seminars for them and teaching them, and, and women can be very tough.
Well, there's no question about that, and we've seen a lot of super accomplished women players, and I always feel it is kind of insulting when people say, well, this is the best woman player, or one of the best women players, because what's the difference? I mean, you are one of the best players, or you're not. But the one thing is that, at least when I started playing poker, I remember at the World Series, there were women who played in the women's event who never played poker before.
Exactly.
And there was kind of the dynamic, like, they had to put up with, let's say, their husbands or boyfriends playing all these events, so they just said, okay, we'll put you into this one event, even though you don't know the card rankings yet. And that's changed a lot.
Yeah, you don't see
the
that.
exposure of
now.
poker now, the women who play are playing because they
think they can win,
and because they have experience playing and so forth.
Exactly.
It's not just like we're going to give you a little charity entry just for putting up with the rest of the
the field is tough, and there's a lot of really aggressive women out there, and it takes aggression to win tournaments. So
yes. Linda, thanks a lot. It's interesting.
Been a pleasure. Gosh, we could just talk forever.
Well, that's what I like. That's why we like having you here. We want our guests to take the lead, but between the PPA, the TDA, being on WPT, having been involved with Party Poker, having won a bracelet, playing back in the pre-internet, pre-big poker days. I mean, you've touched all the different realms of the game.
Don't forget the
cruising.
Cruising, yeah.
Yes,
That's
I have
like
to
my
let you
main
promote
passion.
the cruises, which is Card Player Cruises.
I'd be happy.
And there seems to be one almost every week, so...
Yeah, actually we do 5 or 6 a year. It's the company that I'm a co-owner is Card Player Cruises, and we've taught thousands of people to play. We take beginners, a lot of times the spouses of one of the players will be on the ship, and we teach beginners how to play.
Right.
But cruising is my passion. I even when I'm not on a poker cruise, I do 4 or 5 cruises a year, and people don't realize that it's the cheapest vacation you can take. I mean, we have them. It's about $100 a day, and you can come. You can play as much poker, as little poker as you want, and we have tournaments. We have live games. It's great.
I went on one. I had a great time, and it's true that in the poker room, you've got high stakes games or medium stakes games, all the way down to beginner games and all sorts of action. And I don't want to kill any of your action, but the one that I went on, there were a couple of guys who misbehaved, and you put them into the ship prison. Do you remember that?
I do. Oh my God! Yeah. We do.
I'm just
no, it was
people.
more than just misbehaving. It was more than just
thing.
behaving. I mean, we kicked this guy out of the card room like 6 times because he was drunk. Okay.
Right.
We do have a no abuse policy, and we really stick to it. There are some poker players who I will not even allow to come on the cruise because they're and we just don't want that on the cruise. The cruising is about having fun, but yeah, this guy just kept coming into the poker room after we threw him out, and finally there's a brig on the ship, and finally we had to put him in there.
You got locked in there. This is not even covered in the TDA rules, this sort of thing, where you can actually end up in a locked room without being able to get out. But he got out the next day.
He got out, yeah. You're going to love this one. We had one poker player, he's a well-known player, I'm not going to mention his name, but he, I had told him, he wanted to go on the Party Poker Million, and I said, no, we don't let jerks go on the cruise. And he said, well, I really have to go. I'm staked, and it means a lot to me, this and that. What can I do to get on the cruise? And I said, well, I'll tell you what. You can put up a behavior deposit. And we actually drew up a contract. It was a $5,000.
Oh, wow.
He had to pay $5,000 in advance. And I said, if there's no problems with you, you'll get this money back at the end of the tournament.
Right.
And he was a perfect gentleman. And
so
they can do it.
So. You know what? I mean, just for regular tournaments, what if you... I
don't think the gaming commission would allow it. At sea, we don't have a gaming commission.
I don't mean for everyone, but any player, let's say, who's already gotten penalties in previous years at the World Series, let's say, this year, when they enter, they put up a deposit at the beginning of the month, and maybe that keeps them motivated to behave.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would love to see that, but no, I don't think the gaming commission would allow people to have to put up deposits.
On the open seas, Linda Johnson is the law. There's no gaming commission.
But it's amazing how the same people that I play with, who may be jerks on land when they know that they're not going to be able to get away with it. They don't even try. And anybody who allows, if there is abuse in a card room, it's the card room manager's fault, because it doesn't have to be allowed. And some card room managers are so afraid that if they, bar somebody or they give them a timeout or whatever, that they're going to go play somewhere else. But you know what? They don't even think about all the people that they're losing because people don't want to be around abusive behavior.
It's always been so short-sighted. They feel, well, we're going to lose this one customer.
Right.
And there's 10 people who don't say anything, but who just don't come back because they're horrified
because they didn't have
by
a good time. Yeah.
And they just haven't spoken up.
Yeah.
It's like the most short-sighted thing. And we saw this actually. Another topic is smoking, because when you started playing, and then even when I started playing, it was still common that there'd always be smoking. You'd be in a tournament, and the guy next to you be smoking right in your face.
Yeah.
And when they first started having non-smoking tournaments, people would say, "Oh my God, we're going to lose all these smokers." And then we found out two things. The first is that the gambling vice is much stronger than the smoking vice, because if people have to give one up, they're going to give up the smoking. And the other is that there were lots of people who didn't smoke, who really were bothered by it, who started playing more tournaments, or just playing tournaments, period, because they got rid of this smoke that bothered them so much.
And even those people who did smoke, a lot of them have said, this is good. I don't have a problem with this. It forces me not to smoke as much, and a lot of them want to quit. And so, here's some trivia. What was the first card room in the world to go non-smoking?
I don't know the answer.
Card Player Cruises.
Oh,
we had the first non-smoking.
Question time. Okay. I was going to say I played in the first non-smoking big tournament that they had at Sam's Town years ago, and this was like a big dramatic thing. The idea of a non-smoking tournament. They were saying no one would play. So
I actually think Bellagio was, if not the first, it was certainly one of the first.
That's going to be my answer, because the Bellagio card room, of the major card rooms, was the first one that put a stake in the ground.
Yeah,
so.
Doug stood up and said, you know what, smoking isn't good, and it worked for him. So
this is one of the rare things you were not involved in directly in that.
Other than as I said, we were the first, but I didn't make a big push. I certainly supported it, but I wasn't one of the instigators. So I believed in it and I supported it, and in Costa Rica, they were smoking. When I started doing tournaments down there, that was one of the requirements that I had, was that they be non-smoking tournaments.
Oh, really?
And I can't believe it. We actually got everybody in Costa Rica smokes.
Of course.
And we got them to go no smoking. So I'm a big advocate for it.
I like it. Linda, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good luck in all your endeavors, your many endeavors. And again, I'll reiterate that this pokergives.org hopefully will kind of really be a big initiative that people will follow and even inspire other organizations.
Yeah, it creates such goodwill when poker players are presenting big checks to big charities, and that's what we're trying to do.
It does, and besides feeling good about it, the fact is it'll only help to further grow poker and bring more people in. I mean, there's just even an ancillary benefit, which is just promoting the game.
Yeah. So
it's good on every level.
Yeah, life is good. I'm so fortunate and blessed, and it feels right to give back. So I hope in 2010 everybody will make a conscious effort to do something to help somebody else.
All right, we'll now move on to our Chinese poker game and wrap things up.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. Write to us at The Scoop at cardplayer.com.